to LSE Share Talk. Can you please introduce yourself to the listeners, Greg?
Yeah, this is Greg Kuenzel from Noricum Gold.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for joining us today. It's very much appreciated, as always.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for speaking to me.
No, well, it was good to catch up with you on the Monumentous Events show last week, and we had a really good conversation. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, cheers. No, it was good. Good to catch up with a few people there, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad event actually. It was a bit crowded, but I'm sure Big Gib will organise it better.
Yeah, it was a much bigger turnout than I'd originally expected. So, but no, look, great sort of opportunity to have a bit more of an informal chat to people about the company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can you just give us a small overview to the company for the non-shareholders, please, if that's possible?
Sure, no problem. Okay, Noricum Gold has a 50% interest in a license area in Georgia. We have a 30-year mining license. We have an area that covers approximately 860 square kilometres. There's been a lot of historic work undertaken on the property. Back in the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of Russian drilling, which has generated a Soviet C1, C2 resource, a drill-to-find resource of 1 million tonnes copper, 6.5 million ounces of gold, and just over 20 million ounces of silver. As I mentioned, we have 50% interest and operational and management control of the project. Once we've spent $6 million, our local partner then either has to contribute or is diluted. So we have a pretty big license area with a big existing resource. But I think what really sets us aside is sitting in the middle of the project area. Our local partner has two producing mines. One, the Madnouli copper gold mine, has been in production for around 40 years, produced around 80 million tonnes and has another 80 million tonnes of mine life. And the second is Sakdrizi, which is a relatively new gold project. They started production there about 18 months ago. It's a number of satellite open pit deposits feeding a central heap leach operation, which I guess is very important for us when we start looking at our shorter term goals for the company.
I think the last time we spoke, when I interviewed you on camera, the thing that really interested me is when you were going to revalue the site with your own testing. That was the thing that stuck out for me.
Yeah, look, there's are you talking about the early stage production targets there?
Yeah, because it was said about the Russians, when they tested, they could only go some meters down, and you guys...
Well, yeah, look, I mean, the overall project, as I mentioned, there's this big resource sitting there. The Soviets did a lot of drilling. I mean, 400,000 meters of drilling just on two priority targets that sit within our license area, which has around 17 targets in total. Now, the Soviets typically drilled vertical drill holes. They're reasonably deep holes. They're down to around 300-400 meters. But because they're all vertical, they'd never really get a good understanding of the way the mineralization was running. So we think within that overall resource, we've probably got a much higher grade resource sitting within there. So as part of that process, we're doing a JORC conversion. We appointed Mark Owen, who's the ex-technical director of Wardell Armstrong, late last year, and that process is an ongoing one. We take all of the existing drill core from the historical drilling that we've still got, we re-assay it, and we do a lot of additional test work to be able to gradually convert that Soviet resource into JORC. And look, I guess that's probably a longer term plan. I mean, that process will take 12, 18 months. It will gradually convert that larger resource to JORC. What I guess we identified very soon after taking on this project is that's all well and good, but to try and keep the market excited and to try and avoid having to come out to the market every 12 months to raise money to fund that exploration or development side of the project, we really wanted to look at some near-term production targets. And they're the areas that we've identified. We've identified 2 gold starter pits and a copper deposit. Now, both of these are critically within 5 to 7 kilometres of our local partners' existing mines. So if I take the first one, Cavermo Bolnese, it's 5 kilometres away from Saktrizi, which is the relatively new operating gold mine. We think it's around 100 to 150,000 tonnes of secondary quartzite mineralisation, so gold mineralisation. Importantly, it's at surface, and it doesn't go that deep. It's only going down to about 10 metres, but it's a relatively high grade. We put out some drill results not too long ago. We're getting drilling 7 metres at 5 grams a tonne, 4 at 3, 5 at 6. 4 at 6. So it's a small but very easy target for us. And I guess going back to what I said at the start, what's critical and what makes this such an attractive target for us is we've already got the infrastructure there. We've got a mining license, and our local partner has a fully operational heap leach operation only 5 kilometres away. So we don't need any capex. We don't need to build any roads, other infrastructure. It is literally a walk up, extract the ore, truck it to our partner's plant, and sell it at the gate. So as far as a walk up mining operation, it doesn't really get much easier than that. We've then got a second gold starter pit, again, same style of mineralisation. I guess it's important to note as well, Cavermo Bolnese, this secondary quartzite gold mineralisation, they've been mining it in the region for decades, so they understand the metallurgy. Yeah. So there's no additional work we need to do. So then we've got a second one at Sapeli, and then the third target, and this comes back to, I think, what we were talking about, and it goes hand in hand with the whole resource conversion work. One of the reasons that our partner was very keen to get a group like us involved is he wanted to bring in some more Western expertise. Yeah. We've been able to bring people like Mark Owen doing the resource conversion to the project. Bill Peters, who's our geophysicist consultant, who's doing a lot of work on the geophysics there at the moment. As I said, as part of the converting of the resource, we take the historic drill core, reassay it, and if the results come out with a good correlation to the historical work, it means that we can provide a higher level of reliance on the historical work, and it means less re-drilling to be able to convert it to JORC. And when we were doing that at Cavermo Bolnese, we discovered that our local partner, who'd done some drilling in 2014, but they were drilling for a gold target, they didn't assay for copper. So as part of our reassay process, we assayed for multi-elements, and we discovered what we think is 2, potentially 3 new copper ore bodies, again sitting very close to surface from around 20 metres, and these drill intercepts included 40 metres at over 2%, including 5 metres at 10% copper, 83 metres at 0.7, including 15 at 1, 7 at 4. Again, it's a smaller deposit. I guess when you're looking at the overall 1 million tonnes copper, 6.5 million ounces of gold, but again, it's an easy walk up, minimal stripping, and again, no need for infrastructure because our partner at Madnuli has a float plant that currently has excess capacity. So it's again a third walk up, minimal capex, if any capex, mining operation to start generating internal cash flows for us to be able to focus on these bigger deposits, which is the ultimate target for us. But ideally, we do the final stages of exploration and the development using internally generated funds, as opposed to having to come out and continually raise new equity to develop those projects.
Oh, shareholders, I like to hear that. And The thing when I'm looking about you guys, I actually mentioned you on Tip TV last Friday. Obviously, I don't tip shares, but just fundamentally, when you look at your company, short term, you look a very exciting prospect, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, we are, and it really is short term. I mean, we're talking first production from Cavemo Bolnese in Q3 of this year. We are just about finished drilling in the area. Again, because we've only been drilling down to 10 meters, it's relatively quick and cheap. So as soon as we have those results back and the assays back, we'll be finalising the resource work. We will be undertaking pit design and mine planning, and we're only talking sort of where are we now? March, 4 or 5 months until we're starting production. So it is pretty short term to hit that first pretty major milestone for the company.
Yeah, it must be exciting, and also I think people are starting to pick up on notice yet. So the thing is, for me, what people do is they buy the bottom and then follow the story. That's what I try to tell people. Not giving out advice. Obviously, I'm not qualified.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit there, Alex.
Sorry, I apologise. I'm just saying, with companies like yourself, you guys, in my opinion, are at the bottom. I'm not qualified to give out advice, but this is stories people should pick up and follow.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, this is a big, it's a big project, and I think it's been a bit of a slow burner from when we acquired it because, we're in a tough market for commodities. You've got a lot of exploration companies sort of struggling to make ends meet. And for us to be able to go from in a relatively short time from an exploration project through to development and production, I guess there's a bit of skepticism there from the audience. But look, we've only got a short period of time before we can prove that concept. And look, you're right. I believe we hit bottom a while ago. And there's a lot to come out of this company, particularly in the next 6 to 12 months.
It sounds good. I've got a few questions from London South East bulletin boards, which shareholders have submitted today. Is it okay if I read a couple out?
Yeah, no worries.
So obviously I'm just going to read this off script. These are not my questions. These are shareholders.
Okay.
The first question, is the £1 million budget sufficient to bring only the first mine to production, or is there enough to bring both mines to production?
Look, as it currently stands, that $1 million is enough to get the first one. And look, the work on the second starter pit is commencing now, so that's built into that budget. And look, by the time we get around to the third pit, being the copper deposit, we'll be generating internal cash flows by that point to continue to provide any funding that's needed. So yes.
Okay. The next one, there will be a margin of error. So have any delays been encountered so far? If so, what are they?
Look, we've had some minor delays. As you say, there are always delays, so we've built in some buffers and margins into the timetable. Look, nothing major. Transport of assays taking longer than we thought. Equipment breakdowns and maintenance, although we did mitigate that a couple of weeks ago by putting a second drill rig on site at Cavemo Bolnese. And look, we had a few teething problems, I think, at the start because it's new teams. We've brought in our people. We're working with our local people as well. But the teams are working really well now together, and things have really started to speed up. So look, there will always be some minor delays, but we're currently still well within our targeted time frame, and looking good.
That's great, because the next question was, are you on time? Are you on the time frame and on budget as of now?
Yes, well within time frame and well within budget as well.
Great stuff. Are the assets proving up as expected?
Yeah, very much so. Look, given the amount of historic drilling work and historic work generally that have been undertaken on this project as a whole, I mean, we've from day one had a very high level of comfort on the potential of this project. I think, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, our main issue, I think, has been proving to the market and to a potentially sceptical audience that there is such significant value in this project. And the fact that we've been able to move and accelerate it and move down this sort of exploration, development, production timeline so quickly. So look, and that's part of the reason that we're putting these starter pits into production. I mean, look, it's a no-brainer. If we can start generating cash flows internally, it's a very low-cost jurisdiction. So even though they're relatively small, modest targets to begin with, it's still going to be, for the company at its current state and its current market cap, it's going to be quite sufficient cash flows. But it's a proof of concept. It's a proof of concept for the larger development projects that we've got, not only for our existing shareholders and investors, future investors who might be watching, but also for our local partner, for our bigger investors, and people we'll be talking to further down the track once we really start looking at these big projects, because this isn't just about 2 or 3 starter pits. This is about a big scalable project, potentially multi-million ounce, 20-year mine life project here. So there's still a lot of work to do, but there is a lot of scale there.
So basically, there's a bigger picture here for what you guys are doing short term to prove up what you're doing, but you are actually looking past that for the bigger picture.
Exactly. No, well, look, that's it, and it's not only to be able to fund the bigger picture internally, but if we can prove the concept of what we're doing and get a small production target up and running so quickly, that should convey over to the larger projects as well.
Definitely, and to be honest, in social media, on their WhatsApps and DMs, you're definitely being picked up, because I watch people chatting away and seeing what they're saying. So it's definitely being picked up, that's for sure.
Okay, oh, that's good to know.
It is. Basically, I think this question, you've answered this. Once mining starts, how long is the planned delivery time to the first gold production?
Look, as I said, I mean, there's minimal, if any, stripping. So effectively, what we will be doing is we'll be mining the ore. We'll be taking it to our local partner's plant, and then look, it's just a matter of crushing it and putting it on the heap leach. I mean, again, it is a very simple process that we're looking at here. We're not talking about complicated metallurgy or processing required. So yeah, look, production is effectively immediately. The heap leach process typically takes about 3 months for the gold to actually be extracted. Well, that's generally the sort of recovery timetable they're getting at the moment from the heap leach that's currently in operation. What we're looking at doing, though, is initially selling the ore at the mine gate. So we're not having to wait 3 months for the gold to be extracted and then have to do met reconciliations to work out what gold's ours and what gold's our local partners. So again, it's simple.
You guys are going to be cash. I'm stuttering there. You're going to be cash positive in a very short space of time.
Yep. That's the plan.
Good grief! You made me stutter there. You're going to love this next. I didn't expect that answer, actually. You're going to love this next question. What quantities of production are expected and planned for? That is not how long is a piece of string question. They must have planned expectation for delivery of gold within a time frame before funds expired. Do you like that?
Yeah. Look, quantities that are expected. Look, again, from the couple initial gold starter pits, we're not talking huge quantities. I'm not going to put a number on it because that's the work that's being done now. And once we've got our final set of assay results back, then we'll be starting to put the resource model together, and we'll be in a position to start hanging our hats on things. The worst thing you can do is come out and say something now, and then you're out by a fraction. But of course, because it's not what you said, you're going to get hung up on it. But look, we think that they're probably around 100 and 150,000 tonnes, running at pretty high grades. So our current schedule is between 3 to 6 months to mine those pits out. So look, between the two gold starter pits and the copper deposit, that takes us through to the end of next year. But of course, between now and then, there's going to be a lot of work going on in the background on proving up and developing the other underlying resources. So when we do get to that point, we've got some sort of continuity there. So we don't, having to spend another, year developing or exploring. The intention is to make this a continual process. And look, it's there. I mean, if you look at some of and this is in the presentation, which is on the website, some of the cross sections we've done for Tel Sapelli, it shows you very, in a graphical format what we've got. You've got a at surface starter pit to the east. You move west, you've got a much larger, lower grade but higher tonnage open pit gold deposit. You've then got the much bigger, but going from an open pit into underground resource. And again, that's a sort of a year 1, year 2, year 3, out to 10 plus sort of scenario you've got there. So that's I think that answers the question.
No, that's great. You've been quite honest there. With regards to permit licenses, etc., have there been any delays through bureaucracy so far? Are any envisaged? If so, what?
No. Look, we've got a mining license. We've got a 30-year mining license. We're in a region that is very much a mining community. I think the number's something like 80% of the local communities around the Balnese region are employed either directly by or ancillary to the mining industry. So it's an area that has had ongoing mining operations for decades. I digressed a bit there. We've got a mining license. No, look, there haven't been any delays, and we don't expect any. There are some. Again, this is the benefit of having a big mining operation only 5 kilometres away from you, and it's our local partner's operation. So we're able to leverage off a lot of the work he has been doing and continues to do. We can leverage off the fact that he's got a community relationship officer there who goes out to all the local areas and makes sure everyone's happy with what's going to be coming underway. But again, we are talking relatively small operations here, so they're not going to have a huge impact on the area. They're in areas that are relatively easy to get to, but not populated. So no, the simple answer is no. We don't envisage any. I'm not going to categorically say we won't have any, but the only sort of additional licenses and things we need are some licenses for blasting and a bit of heavy earth moving equipment type thing, which are standard just bog standard stuff you get from your local council.
I must admit, you sound very upbeat about the future. Even when I was talking to you last Thursday, you definitely, you can tell with the company.
Well, yeah. Look, we are. I mean, we've got a great project. We've got a great local team. Progress is going very well. As I said, it is relatively short term, but before we're going to start hitting what are some pretty major milestones for the company. So we're very excited about the way things are going at the moment. Busy times, but there should be a lot of news flow coming out over the coming months, and we're really looking forward to working through the rest of this year.
This is a story on LSE Share Talk we're going to follow, and we've had a few climbers since we launched the site last November who followed their story. And like I said on last Friday on Tip TV, we're going to follow your story because we find it very, very interesting for sure.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, look forward to keeping you up to date.
No, that'd be great. And I've just got one more thing for you, and this is a bit of advertising.
Sure.
Will you be attending the Investors Evening on the 9th of April at the Village Hotel, Junction 10?
We will indeed, yes. Martin Churchhouse and myself will be there, giving a presentation, and obviously be available to chat with anyone, answer any questions anyone's got.
That'll be fantastic because I've actually gone there in the past when another company's been there, and there's a lot of investors like to go there, and it's a really
okay, great. Well, I literally just booked my hotel for the night, so I'll be there.
Did you get the swimming pool downstairs?
I think there is only one hotel in the area, isn't there? Whatever the hotel is, the Village or something, I think it is. So
the Village Hotel it is on the it's
right.
It's between Birmingham and Walsall in the UK. But
okay. No, we're looking forward to it because we obviously do a lot of. We've been doing a lot more around London, but it'll be good to get out and see some new faces.
No, that'd be fantastic. Greg, thanks very much for taking the time. I'm sure when investors and new shareholders look at this and they listen to the story, I think they should really pay attention, and that's not being biased, truly.
Okay, all right, great. Well, look, thanks. Appreciate the time, Alex.
All right, cheers, mate. Bye.
Okay, all right, cheers. Bye.